Crime 101 stars Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, and Halle Berry in a slow burn action slash drama film set in Los Angeles about a jewel heist and a police hunting the robber and an insurance broker who gets caught in the mix. What makes the tone and the world that was built for this story is very slow, neo-noir crime thriller. This is not John Wick or Fast and the Furious. This is the exact opposite, where the story takes you on a slow burn. But at the same time, there are great action sequences, but they're all very contained and it fits within the structure of the movie. You have your car chase sequences, you have your fight scenes, you have your bank slash jewelry heist throughout the entire film that check all the boxes that you need for a movie like this. But it's all very slow and the structure is controlled throughout the entire movie. And another aspect of the movie that I really enjoyed, that it does use LA as a character in the movie. It is called Crime 101. The majority of the jewel heists happen all along in the movie, along the 101 freeway in Los Angeles. And it does fit the tone. It isn't your typical LA movie, right? It isn't like La La Land, which is about people, your typical, or Mulholland Drive, about people who move to Los Angeles and want to get into the entertainment industry, right? Like the movies or acting or directing, stuff like that. This movie there's no Hollywood connection at all. It's about crime, jewel heist in LA. I'm glad that they chose to make a Los Angeles movie that it has nothing to do with the typical stuff that we usually see. And you feel the world, the freeways, the skyscrapers. It does have that LA feel, and I really enjoy that aspect. Of course, the lead in this film is Chris Hemsworth. Most of us know him as Thor, and he's done some other movies like Rush. He is a character that he is charming and likable in this movie. You are rooting for him to get away with the heist, to not get captured by the police. But he's playing his character, and this is a haunted person who is dealing with his dark past, and he's running. And he's very isolated and alone and struggling with loneliness, looking for connection outside of being a jeweler. And his love interest is played by Monica Barbaro, whose character, there isn't much backstories to her. Her character is a little one-dimensional. She's trying to she's a character who's trying to give Mike a more vulnerability and see if he can break out of his shell and become a different type of person. And of course, the main antagonist of Mike is played by Mark Ruffalo, who plays Lou, the cop who's hunting the jewel heist and trying to figure out. He's also someone who is struggling with his own personal life and particularly his work-related job, where he is kind of an outcast within his own police department, and he's kind of treading on thin water throughout the entire film. He is the police officer who is doing whatever it takes to find this jewel heist, and he's using different types of methods as well. Mark Ruffalo's character, he's played this sort of police detective. We've seen him once before in like Zodiac. This one's a little different. It's obviously more slow paced, and he does bring a grounded level to the character. It isn't your typical like a-hole police officer. There is a likability and a charm there. I'm glad that he chose to play it more grounded and not so over the top that sometimes you see with people who choose to play detectives or cops. There are also some great supporting characters. Barry Keoghan plays a psychotic robber who also spends majority of the time on a motorcycle wearing a helmet. I did like his sort of costume and his look. His character is just like a psycho. There's no much backstory on him, but he does have a good look in the movie. He has this great style, and he is sort of the villain of the movie. There's Nick Nolte. He shows up as well. He's sort of the guy who works for a guy, right? He has the power. We don't know who he's working for or something. He's sort of it's kind of the real bad guy in the movie. We don't really see much about him, who he is, but he is in the film. And of course, the most important character that I haven't brought up is Halle Berry. Her character, I think, has the best arc in the entire film. She's an insurance broker who is sort of dealing with ageism and a little disillusioned and struggling with her own identity, and also someone who is also alone. and her character is sort of gets thrown in the mix because she has to deal with basically all the characters in the movie, whether it's the jewelers, the cops, the insurance company, and she is constantly having to deal with all these sort of different problems. I thought her character was the most important because she's kind of the glue of the whole film, and her arc works. She has the best total story of any character in the movie, and you see her sort of like her struggles with having to deal with this world, even though you're not trying. You know, she wasn't just trying to be a normal human being, trying to do the right thing, and she kind of gets sucked in the world accidentally. And I felt like that was a really relatable character, and also likable, which especially towards the end, she has a great monologue at the end that's very satisfying. But overall, I really thought this movie was fantastic because it was able to commit to its slow pacing tone and being able to work and keep you engaged all the way to the very end. And particularly, spoiler, if you haven't seen the ending is, I really enjoyed the ending. It's not a big high energy payoff, a big action sequence that you typically see in movies. It's a very contained ending where they're all sort of in a room and something big really happens, and the story kind of wraps up in that one their archetype that they didn't fall for the typical archetype that you see in these types of movies. So and it's also very, you know, it addresses, you know, what all the ending also addresses all the struggles the characters went through, and all comes together very well at the end, and it's all put together very with a nice, but it's all the stories all collide and they all fit together in the very end. I guess some of the criticisms that people are going to have of this movie is that it's too slow, and it doesn't feel as fast paced as it could be. Though the pacing, that was the tone that they wanted to create, was to have this sort of slow burn all the way to the very end. I think an issue, what they could have done, a little bit of an improvement would have been to have a little bit of a better opening sequence. In the opening sequence of this movie, they do the whole narration about, there's a narration that's overheard about waking up, and it's plays into sort of the role of the story, plays into the tone of the movie. And I felt like if they should have started the film with a straight action sequence, the heist happens right away, it would have been just a little bit better, right? Just to have that heist happen quicker and faster and more immediate. They chose not to do that, and I think that's probably the biggest flaw, was not to start off the movie a little stronger and have more of a faster pace, and then do your slow burn that they were trying to do in this film, and have it carry the entire way. I think it's the only flaw. 101 is a story that relies heavily on dialogue and slow pacing, and I think that's done deliberately. I'll tell you why. It's a movie with three main characters: a jewel thief, an insurance broker, and a police officer, all struggling with the same things. The jewel thief is struggling with isolation, loneliness, and a traumatic past that's haunting him. You have an insurance broker who gets no respect on where she works and dealing with ageism and not feeling like she has any fulfillment in her life. And last, you have the police officer who's an outcast and is hated by everyone he works with, and struggles with his place and where he works. Like all three characters do, they are all struggling with the same three issues, and the characters are all very intertwined well together. They fit in their environments, and their themes all match one another, especially when they interact with one another. You can see that these people all have the same dynamics and the same issues, but they're just in different worlds. One is in the police officer world, one is in the insurance corporate world, and one is a jewel thief who works by himself. But they're all the same. They're all dealing with the same issues, but they're all living in the same city like Los Angeles, and they have to deal with crime and chaos and dealing with all the other things you have to deal with. And ultimately, I'm going to give this movie an 8.9 out of 10. I loved it. I love that they committed to an original story and an original world, and they were willing to room, and I thought that really worked. I loved how they didn't do your typical crime ending where there's a massive shootout or a big car explosion. They really committed to their structure and their